What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Chris Evans here with Zero Meter Chasers live here on this Tuesday, August 11th evening here at 7:23 Eastern Standard Time. I just wanted to go live here on our social media platforms to kind of cover the ongoing severe weather that is ongoing here in portions of Kentucky. We're looking at the Weatherfront website right now. As always, I just want to make sure that my audio is working correctly here. So if you could put a thumbs up in the chat, or if you could put a comment and say the audio is working fine, I would greatly appreciate it. But here we are again, looking at the Weatherfront website here with a couple of complexes of storms that we're going to look at here at 7:23 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If we scroll over here to the eastern part of the state, you can see we do have a tornado warning in the far eastern part of the state over here, just south of Pikeville near Grundy, Kentucky. I am going to switch over to the radar over here in far eastern Kentucky real quick. And you can see this line of storm that is pushing through the southeastern part of the state currently. So this is a nasty line of storms that has pushed along the I-75 corridor basically throughout the whole afternoon. This was the complex of storms. If I scroll this out a little bit, you can see widespread reports of 60, even an 80-mile-an-hour wind report here, Nicholas County, Kentucky, and that was on the Kentucky Mesonet website here in Nicholas County. So this line of storms has been causing havoc here in eastern Kentucky, and it is about to exit out of the state. Again, we have a severe thunderstorm warning. We'll start here. We have that tornado warning just north of Richards, Kentucky, and we also have this severe thunderstorm complex kind of Boeing segment moving through Big Stone Gap and pushing towards Lebanon. There's also kind of a little spin up, just to the north here of Lebanon. So we'll have to watch that if you're in Lebanon, just to the north of St. Paul here. May have possibility for a quick spin up, kind of going just north of Lebanon and just to the south of Richlands. If we go a little bit farther west here, again, you'll see as we get towards London, nasty kind of damaging wind complex is now just pushing through London, pushing towards Corbin and Somerset currently. When we look at the velocities, the best velocities are definitely over here pushing near Big Stone Gap. This is a considerable severe thunderstorm warning, meaning damage is likely with this severe thunderstorm warning with 70-mile-an-hour winds that is pushing again into Big Stone Gap here. And then as we move into Harlan, you still have about 50 to 60-mile-an-hour winds, and the winds over here near Somerset and London are a little bit weaker on velocity, and you can see how it's a little bit more scattered, a little bit more broken of a line as you move further west, but still a damaging wind threat as you move into towards Corbin and Barberville. And then as we go a little bit farther west, you can see the damaging wind threat here into Somerset and Liberty. If we go a little bit farther west towards the I-65 corridor, I kind of want to zoom this out and go to the Louisville radar really quick. Again, how I'm going to do this is I want to show radar here, and then I'll kind of answer any questions that we have on what to kind of expect the rest of the night. This is kind of the first complex. We have a second complex that we're going to cover here that is pushing into southern Indiana right now. But as we get towards Campbellsville, you can kind of see that scattered storm activity, kind of a broken line of storms as we get towards the I-65 corridor. But if I zoom this out, and I'm going to circle this really quick. What I'm circling right here, if you're in the E-Town area, you can feel this right now. This is an outflow boundary. So this is cool, stable air that is kind of surging out ahead of our line of storms that is currently ahead of Louisville. And that is kind of dropping your temperatures just ahead of this line. And you could get temperatures anywhere in the mid-70s right ahead of this line before you get the rain. And the wind will kick up a little bit with this outflow boundary, and it's currently pushing through the E-Town area. I'm a high school football coach. I just got done with practice. And you can definitely feel when that outflow boundary kind of pushes in your area because it cools the atmosphere very quickly here. But what can happen on the backside of this outflow boundary, so I'm going to keep that outflow boundary kind of circled. If we zoom out here, you can see we have another complex of storms here in southern Indiana that has a bunch of severe thunderstorm warnings with it. And then you kind of have that scattered storm activity here that is along the I-65 and I-64 corridor near Louisville. Now, this outflow boundary is going to stabilize the air here, so it might lower the severe threat here along I-65, but all of this rain, right? This complex of storms. Remember, I'm going to stop circling this outflow boundary. This complex of storms that is up here in southern Indiana are all diving to the southeast, just like the rest of our complexes have today. And with that outflow boundary kind of there, I didn't mean to zoom in. Let me zoom back out here. Apologize for my circles. Again, I'm not an artist. But with that outflow boundary here, pushing south along the I-65 corridor, we could have possible flash flooding risk, especially near Louisville to Lexington. With this storm here going into this kind of stable air, it could cold pool and just lead to many rounds of showers and storms, especially here in between Louisville and Lexington as we get into the next few hours. But again, we do have this complex that I just circled up here in southern Indiana, and this does have some damaging wind gusts with it. Anywhere from 60 to 70 mile an hour winds kind of are expected with this. Again, it's right now approaching Paoli, Scottsburg, and Madison. And again, it's pushing to the southeast. It actually just pushed through that area. But just on the latest scan, if I kind of back up here just a little bit, and we take it back here. Let's go about right here. We're going to have to let it load. You can kind of see this was at 6:57, so just about 30 minutes ago. And if I fast forward it here, you can see as it's kind of running into the stable air, how it's kind of losing its punch already. So we'll have to watch these storms, especially until the sun goes down here in the next couple of hours. But I don't think that we're not going to get 80 mile an hour wind gusts like we did with our last MCS, but we could definitely still see some elevated wind gusts, especially here along I-64, basically in this area from our next MCS at night. So we'll kind of have to watch that as we get through the next couple of hours. And then I would say in the same area here, kind of in between Louisville and Lexington and Frankfort, I would be worried about a flash flooding risk as we get into the evening and overnight, as we'll have repeated rounds of kind of showers and storms that are kind of going to push through. So I'm going to kind of leave it here for a second. I'll answer any questions that we have. It does look like we have a comment in here. So let me get to that really quick. How's the air stable? Louisville hasn't had any rain today. Well, this outflow boundary. So do you see this outflow boundary that is just south of E-Town here, that storm near Big Stone Gap? Because it did have kind of that elevated. And, yeah, we still do have some rotation here. Again, it's kind of in a radar hole. But if I scroll in, it's now moving just to the north of Grundy in this tornado warning here near Oakwood. I'm going to pull this up real quick. And this is actually in West Virginia. So it's just on the West Virginia-Kentucky line. I think that's the line right there. So good news is that tornado warning has pushed out of Kentucky, so I'm not going to cover that any longer. But here again in far southeastern Kentucky, if we were to get a quick spin-up tornado, I think it'd be somewhere probably in the London, Cordon, Hazard area. But again, I don't think the tornado risk is that high as we get into the afternoon and evening. Not too worried about the tornado risk. Again, keep putting those questions in there. I did want to do one more thing. Once I kind of got through any questions that we got through tonight, I wanted to cover kind of what overnight looked like and then maybe a quick look into Wednesday because I do think Wednesday could have an upgrade to an enhanced level 3 out of 5 risk because I do think we'll have another MCS complex that's going to move through here. But what I'm going to do right now is kind of give you guys a second, keep looking at radar, give a second to give any questions that we have in the chat. Again, you'll see these storms here. Actually, I want to zoom out here for a second, and I want to show the severe thunderstorm watch that we have. And that is anywhere that you see the orange color. So I know it can be a lot with the radar on here, so I'm going to kind of just highlight for you here. Here's where we have that severe thunderstorm warning in orange here for Kentucky, basically along and east of I-65 as we get into the afternoon. I don't see any expansion of this severe thunderstorm watch as I think it's pretty well placed from the SPC. But if you're in like Hardin County or even Grayson Breckenridge County here, I do think we could see an isolated severe storm. And again, with how these storms are kind of progressing here, we're going to be on the southwestern flank, and that can be an active side of these MCS complexes sometime. But again, anywhere in orange right here is kind of where you have that severe thunderstorm watch that is in effect until Let me see when here, until 11 p.m. tonight. And again, you can see the probabilities here on the Weatherfront website. And our biggest risk with any of our storms today is going to be the wind risk. 60 mile an hour wind risk. We have a high chance of 60 mile an hour wind gust being confirmed. And then 75 mile an hour wind gust, we also have a high chance. So again, you can see where we have those scattered reports already across the eastern part of the state. So we'll just have to watch kind of this round two that's going to move through in the next couple of hours here. So again, I'm going to look in the chat here, see if I got any questions. Bill says, what about Campbellsville? So Campbellsville is kind of like right on the line. So again, Campbellsville is not included in that severe thunderstorm watch, but it's really close. It's right on the neighboring counties. And you're already starting to see some of that storm activity here, not severe storm, but an uptick in storm activity is going to definitely be expected through the night. But I definitely think the best severe threat's probably going to be a little bit farther north in between Louisville and Lexington. But I definitely think you'll definitely still see some storms here as you're already kind of seeing that storm activity increase here in the Campbellsville area. So again, going to give you guys probably another minute here to put any other questions that you have here into the chat, and then we'll kind of cover the rest of your overnight on Tuesday and then Wednesday. But I don't want to confuse anybody with kind of all these rounds of storms because it's been a lot just today. I mean, we've had 3 different rounds of storms that have kind of pushed through Kentucky so far today. Again, looking at the radar, this is a new severe thunderstorm warning here for Crawford County in south central Indiana, moving just north of Corden. And again, if we look here, it's interesting because some of these cells are looking like they have a little bit of a hail spike. So let me actually look at something where we can look at the hail spike here and see if we have any hail. Yeah, you can see we have a little bit possibly near English and just southeast of Birdseye, Indiana. A little bit of small hail could be expected with these storms. Again, these are a little bit elevated. We've already had 1-inch hail report a little bit earlier today. So again, not too worried about the severe risk, but we could have a couple more damaging wind gusts. And again, with how saturated our ground is, it's not going to take much damaging winds or only 50 to 55 mile an hour winds to bring down some tree branches and even trees in general as we get into the afternoon and evening. So if I have no other questions here, what I am going to do is I'm going to kind of go to future radar here, and we'll kind of look at what to expect as we get through the next couple of hours. And yeah, sorry, I was just reading a text message on my phone, making sure I'm not missing anything here. So we're going to go to the latest HRRR. Again, as I always say with this, remember, model data is not going to handle this setup perfectly, but it's just something to kind of look at as we get into the afternoon and evening. You'll see how it's kind of handling the setup decently well, the HRRR is right now. It's not handling the second complex up here in Indiana that well. However, it is handling this the broken line of storms from Campbellsville all the way down into southeast Kentucky. So if we fast forward this here as we get to about 10 p.m., this is where I don't think the HRRR is right. I definitely think we'll still have that complex of storms in between Louisville and Lexington. It's just not picking up on it. This is kind of what I talked about in the morning. If the model doesn't initialize right or doesn't sample the atmosphere right to begin with, it's not going to be right later on in the run. So I definitely think around 10 to 11, we'll have a complex of storms here a little bit farther west than what the HRRR is showing, probably in between Louisville and Lexington here. And we'll have to watch for the flash flooding threat as we get into the overnight. Again, we have these 2 complexes, one southeast Kentucky, one up here in southern Indiana that we'll have to get through before we get into the overnight. But the HRRR is still showing as we get to about 3 a.m. It is popping up some overnight convection in portions of eastern Kentucky. It's continued to do this throughout the last couple of runs. So we'll just have to kind of watch and see radar as we get into the overnight. And this is where I'm really worried about the flash flooding risk, is if we do get kind of this training effect of storms kind of going over the same area, especially along the I-75 corridor as we get into overnight tonight into early on Wednesday morning, that could lead to an elevated flash flooding risk. And again, you'll see how the HRRR here at Wednesday at 8 a.m. has another complex of storms here moving through eastern Kentucky at 8 a.m. And then if we go, I'm going to stop here. I am going to show the rest of the day, but if we just go to the total rain that has just fallen there, you'll see kind of that swath that the HRRR is showing in far northern Kentucky, where you could get localized up to 3 inches of rainfall or even more as we get into the overnight and early morning hours. So I'm a little bit worried about the flash flooding risk with overnight convection, especially here along the I-75 corridor. But you'll see, other than that MCS complex, it does look like Western Kentucky and most of the I-65 corridor is going to remain dry. But we'll just have to kind of see that complex that's currently in Indiana and how that kind of tracks. But again, I think the overnight flooding risk is probably going to be here along I-75. And again, this only goes to 10 a.m. So I want to back this up here to about the 18Z. And you'll see how the HRRR's kind of showed this all day long in all of its runs. But as we get into Wednesday afternoon, you'll see this is 4 p.m. on Wednesday. We'll have another approaching line of showers and storms. And I think this one is probably going to be one of the best threats for severe weather that we've had this week here in Kentucky. We've kind of highlighted this for the last couple of days. Model data has kind of highlighted this. We'll show the SPC outlook here in a second. But as we get to the afternoon, we'll have an approaching line, probably an MCS complex of damaging winds that are going to be the primary threat as we get into Wednesday afternoon and evening. This does look to highlight basically the I-65 corridor and points off to the west, but I do think Eastern Kentucky could get on this as well. If I fast forward this to about 8 p.m., you can see how the HRRR has that Boeing segment kind of moving in here around the same time tomorrow around the I-65 corridor. And again, I think this is going to be a good candidate for probably more severe thunderstorm warnings, 60 to 70 mile an hour winds. And I actually think, again, I think Wednesday's our highest risk for severe weather that we've had this week. I think Eastern Kentucky's had the better risks, but as we get into tomorrow, the jet streak kind of drops a little bit further south, and we still have that hot and humid atmosphere, which is going to fuel some storms as we get into your Wednesday afternoon. So that's Wednesday at 8 p.m. Again, we'll have to watch and see any repeated rounds of showers and storms for kind of that flooding threat as we get into overnight on Wednesday. And then as we get into Thursday, you'll see, that's kind of what we got. Some of the model data on Thursday, again, I don't want to get into Thursday too much. We'll take it one day at a time, but some model data still has us in a severe risk on Thursday. So we'll just have to get through Wednesday first. Again, Wednesday afternoon, especially here along the I-65 corridor and points off to the west, look most at risk. Damaging winds are going to be our main risk with this as we get into Wednesday evening. So again, I wanted to show that SPC outlook. Here's the SPC outlook for the rest of the day. You can see how we had that enhanced risk level 3 out of 5 in far eastern Kentucky. And for the rest of the day, it's just kind of that slight risk for kind of that second complex that's moving in here as we move through the rest of your Tuesday night. And then as we get into Wednesday, that's where the SPC does have this slight risk, basically, again, from I-65 and points off to the north and west. But it would not surprise me to see this slight risk kind of get pushed off a little bit further east here. And I would not surprise me to see an enhanced risk just for that damaging wind potential. The enhanced risk might be a little bit further up here, maybe highlighting more of the I-64 corridor just based on the timing. But I definitely think that this slight risk is going to get extended a little bit as we get into tomorrow. So I definitely think tomorrow is a pretty good candidate for severe weather, something I've been watching for the last couple of days and something we'll just have to watch. I think we have to get through kind of radar tonight first, get through the overnight setup, and then we'll kind of take how we did it today and go one step at a time and kind of get through another MCS complex tomorrow afternoon. So that is what I got for you guys. I wanted to click on radar here, kind of go back to radar. And if you guys have any questions about today, later tonight, or on Wednesday, please, right now is a perfect time to put it in the chat. I'm not going to stay on here much longer. But again, I just wanted to kind of give you guys a general synopsis on what to expect as we got into overnight tonight and into tomorrow. So again, that outflow boundary's kind of not been moving that much here the last couple of minutes, kind of just been staying along or around E-Town here. But you'll see right here, just in the last couple of minutes, we've had some storms start to spark on the backside of that boundary. So again, that's one thing the HRRR is not picking up well on tonight. We'll definitely see some storms here along the I-65 corridor, anywhere behind this outflow boundary. So if you're on this side of the boundary, you're probably going to see some storms tonight, okay, if you're on this side. Now, we'll have to see how far this boundary can get, But if you're on this side, as I just think we had the severe thunderstorm watch extended, let me actually look at that in a second. But if you're on this red side, if you're on the south side of the boundary, it's a little questionable whether you'll see storms or not. So if I zoom this out a little bit, and we did just have that severe thunderstorm watch extended here for Breckenridge, Hardin. Yeah, I think it's basically just Breckenridge, Hardin, and I think that is maybe Hancock. Yeah, I got to figure out what I'm really bad on my cities. I'm trying to get better, not on my cities, but my counties, trying to figure out all the Kentucky counties. So I'm getting a little bit better with that. But again, looking at this outflow boundary, if you're on the south side here on the blue side, a little bit more questionable whether or not you'll see storms. But if you're on the red side or the north side of this boundary, I definitely think you'll at least see some scattered storms as we get through the afternoon and evening hours. So that is what I got for you guys so far. Again, scattered storms to be expected, isolated flooding threat as we get into the overnight. And I definitely think the I-75 corridor is kind of most at risk at that. And I didn't show that, so let me get to that real quick. Here is that excessive rainfall outlook. From the Weather Prediction Center. And you can see we have a moderate risk, which is a level 4 out of 5. So a pretty elevated risk of flooding out here, definitely highlighting the I-75 in far eastern Kentucky as we get into the overnight period tonight. So again, I'm worried about the flash flooding risk with the repeated rounds of showers and storms, especially along I-75 as we get through the next couple of hours. So again, wanted to mention this one more time, that severe thunderstorm watch did get extended to include Hardin and Breckenridge County just for this kind of complex that's kind of diving south. Sometimes the southwest flank can be the most active side, which is where we currently have that severe thunderstorm warning. So we did just get a new severe thunderstorm warning. As you can hear the thunder rolling here in E-Town, so definitely getting some thunderstorms near E-Town. But we did just get a new thunderstorm warning here for Monticello, Williamsburg, and Middlesboro for 60-mile-an-hour winds, and that expires in about 1 hour here at 8:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Look at velocity one more time here. Little bit of rotation here. Again, I think I'm actually on the wrong radar site, so let me get a little bit closer. This is in a bad radar hole, though, so that's not the best thing. Yeah, you can't really tell much, but just kind of that Boeing segment that we have here that is kind of pushing through Somerset and Corbin right now. You kind of have two different Boeing segments. Kind of show you guys what I'm talking about. This Boeing segment is kind of when you get the backwards C here. When it kind of looks like that, the heaviest or the best damaging wind threat is going to be right in the middle of this. So kind of already pushed right through the middle of Somerset here. You kind of have another one here just pushing south or just pushing to the east of Corbin towards Williamsburg. So again, this is not a complete line, but you kind of have those Boeing segments where you could get 60 to 65 mile an hour wind gusts kind of embedded within the cell. So that's far southeastern Kentucky. That's looking to push out of the state. But as we get up here, these are going to be frequent lightning producers too. You can see the storm that just fired here just south of Irvington and how much lightning there is. And then all this lightning here near Mount Washington and just north of Brandenburg. So I definitely think these are going to be frequent lightning producers, kind of elevated storms as they kind of die off in cold pool as we get into the evening and overnight hours. So Somerset, let me get this up. Fisher says, are we okay in Somerset? Yeah, I'm more worried about the damaging wind threat in Somerset. The storm is pushing through now, or that damaging wind threat is pushing through now, so you're going to be fine. But you'll see we just got a flash flood warning that was just posted here just for the east of Liberty. Let me click on this here. This is in Casey County. And this is for between 1 to 2.5 inches of rain that has fallen here in between Liberty and Eubank. And you can kind of see that the train tracks that have set up here from Campbellsville, Liberty, Somerset, London. So I definitely think we'll have a flash flooding threat for the next hour or two on this kind of corridor here, just from the storms kind of training over the same area here. A little bit worried about the flash flooding risk there. So I'm not too worried about severe risk, although you are under that severe thunderstorm warning for the next 12 minutes. The worst of the storm has already pushed through Somerset. So that is what I have for the Somerset area. I'm going to look up here at these storms one more time here. We only have one severe thunderstorm warning. Does look like we have another hail report that was at 725, 1.5 inch in diameter. So we're definitely getting some hail reports with this line of storms that are going to be pushing towards Louisville and maybe on the western side of Louisville. Yeah, you can see here where we definitely have some hail just to the west of Grantsburg here, moving towards Meade County. So this is going to be pushing into Meade County here near Brandenburg here in the next hour or two. And even on this cell that just popped south of Irvington, you can see where we might have a little bit of hail as well. Just on the backside of that outflow boundary. So again, I definitely think that this outflow boundary, if you're on this side, you're going to see repeated rounds of showers and storms, but I don't think that our severe risk is overly that high tonight. More worried about the flash flooding risk with the repeated rounds of showers and storms. So hope I didn't confuse anybody. We got this complex to get through tonight, another complex to get through tomorrow afternoon, and then we'll have the flash flooding risk as we get into overnight tonight. So try to warn you guys as we did the video this morning. This is going to be an active pattern, and it will continue to be an active pattern as we get into tomorrow. So that is what I kind of got for you guys. One more thing I wanted to do was share this. I mean to always do this on my live videos, and I always forget. So here is our website, zerometerchasers.com. It's a zero like the number zero. Up here, Zero Meter Chasers. What you can do on our website is you can submit a photo, and when I do my forecast videos, or maybe even when I do these live videos, I can pull up kind of your photos that you have. It's a very easy process. All you have to do is click on the submit a photo. If you get any damage reports, any flooding reports as we get into tonight, and then you just upload the photo and then put your name, the time, and then the location so we can share it and know where you're at, and then any notes or anything that you have on the picture. So I'm definitely going to be using these as I do kind of these daily weather pictures as I do these daily weather forecast videos. And then another thing you can do, again, here's the submit. It's as soon as you get on the website on the front page. But we also have local forecast on here where you can kind of see the forecast for today. And then you can see the forecast for tomorrow. You can see we have a 62% chance of storms tomorrow. And this is loaded by the National Weather Service. So this is kind of your one-stop weather shop on here. We also have the Weatherfront website down here as well. So once it kind of loads here, you can kind of see the same thing that I take you guys through each day. You can pull this up on your phone and or on your desktop, whatever it is. And once it populates, you'll see it's the same thing that I use on a daily basis here on these live streams. So I'm going to kind of let that load. Again, if you guys have any pictures, anything like that, please be sure to share this here. And if you need a radar or anything like that, it's not loading great on my screen, but I know it's going to load better on yours. So we do have the Weatherfront radar here, and we can get all your pictures, and we also have our Facebook here with any of the stuff that we'll post on Facebook. Like we just had that flash flood warning here from Liberty to Eubank. So just wanted to share our website, make sure that you guys know that there is that one-stop shop here. And here is that severe thunderstorm warning that is just issued here. That does include portions of Meade and Breckinridge County. In Kentucky here, it's going to be Meade County and Breckinridge County until 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is for 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts and quarter-sized hail. Hail damage to vehicles is expected. So that is that area that we were just looking at where we definitely have some of that enhanced hail potential. I'll look at that one more time here. And that's for that exact storm. So that's moving here. Looks like that hail core is going to be moving just to the east of Leopold. If I zoom in here, it is approaching the Indiana and Kentucky line, and it's going near Alton right now. So if you're in Alton, if you're in Meade or Breckinridge County, just know a strong thunderstorm is coming with maybe 50 to 60 mile an hour wind gusts here as we get into the next hour or so. So that is a new severe thunderstorm warning that does include, again, Leopold, Leavenworth, Corden, and Brandenburg. And I'm going to kind of zoom out radar here for a second. I kind of want to look and see if we got any other questions here in the chat. Does not look like we do so far. So again, if we don't have any other questions, again, I'm not worried about the tornado risk. This is more of a damaging wind risk as we get into the evening and overnight. And again, I think our best severe risk is definitely here along the I-65 corridor. But with this outflow boundary, we'll just have to watch. Again, this isn't going to be 70 to 80 mile an hour wind gusts. I think it'll be more 50 to 60 mile an hour wind gusts with our strongest of storms. So we'll look here. You can kind of see, again, I'm not too impressed with the wind field with this storm. But we'll have to kind of see here as we get through the next couple of hours, or really the next hour, kind of how this kind of interacts with this outflow boundary. Now, the interesting thing is if this line of storms right here, if it can catch this outflow boundary, we could have a brief tornado threat. Brief. Okay, very brief tornado threat here in central Kentucky because when you kind of if you can get a line that kind of surge ahead of an outflow boundary, that outflow boundary can kind of help because remember, it's stable, cool air that's kind of colliding with warm, moist air that's on this side of the boundary. So sometimes that can kind of enhance tornado potential, but that will only happen if this line of storms can catch this outflow boundary. If this outflow boundary keeps moving to the south and it stays ahead of this line of storms, this is going to be kind of a windbag, maybe some isolated hail, and definitely more of a flooding risk as we get into the next hour or two. So I'm definitely, again, I'm not too worried about the severe risk. I don't think that this is a widespread severe risk or anything like that, but this will be our first complex of storms before we get into another complex as we get into our Wednesday. So just wanted everybody to be weather aware. Again, I don't plan on staying on here much longer. I'm just going to kind of look. You guys can see all of this lightning here. I kind of want to put a track on this. So let me see how fast this is moving. We'll try to get a track on this 1 second. The line's moving 50 miles an hour. So we'll try to get a location track for you guys. See, I don't use this very often. So the chances of me doing this right here on the first try are not very high, but we're going to try. All right, close enough. 47 mile an hour is close enough. So it does look like this severe thunderstorm warning is going to be approaching the oh, great. I just took it off. Sorry. I promise y'all we're going to get better. Boom. Boom. There we go. Look at that. A lot quicker on the second time. So this severe thunderstorm is going to be approaching Alton here in about 1 minute. It is approaching Alton right now. It'll be in Clarkson here in about 53 minutes. It'll be in Grayson County and Litchfield here in about 54 minutes. So this will be approaching the Grayson and Breckinridge County line here within the next hour. You can see it'll be moving into Breckinridge County or Meade County here in the next 15 minutes. It'll be kind of here in Breckinridge County in the next 30, and then it'll reach Grayson here in the next hour. So the storm's not going to be slow. It's definitely going to be it's a quick moving system here as we're getting to the afternoon and evening. But I think that's all I got. This definitely looks like the strongest part of the line. But again, I'm going to say this one more time. I'm more worried about the flash flooding risk, especially here in central Kentucky, anywhere in between Louisville and Lexington, with kind of repeated rounds of showers and storms. But we could still get a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings as we get through the next few hours. So I'll have another video tomorrow. I really appreciate all the support. Again, make sure you guys go to the zerometerchasers.com website, share any pictures or videos that you have from any of the storms this evening. And as we do my video tomorrow, if we do get some of those pictures submitted, make sure you watch because I'm going to kind of feature some of those submissions that we get tonight. So that's all I got for you guys. I hope everybody has a great night. Remember, this severe thunderstorm watch is in effect until 10 p.m. tonight. Expires in about 2 hours. So just make sure if you're along or north of the Western Kentucky and Bluegrass Parkways, you stay weather aware. And I just hope everybody has a safe and blessed Tuesday. And we'll do this again tomorrow morning. I do have one more question here. Marlena says, is far eastern Kentucky good for now? Yes, I will say you're good for now. I don't know your specific area, but if this line has moved through, we'll just have to watch this second line, which is kind of following the same train tracks as the first line did. So we'll just have to kind of watch it here. But again, I'm more worried about the flash flooding risk for most of Kentucky rather than I'm worried about the severe risk. But we could still get, multiple severe thunderstorm warnings as we get to the afternoon. So that is what I got for you guys. I hope everybody has a safe and blessed Tuesday afternoon. Remember, the flash flooding risk is elevated. Turn around, don't drown. And I got one more question here. Katie says Nicholasville in the clear for the first round. Yes, you're in the clear. But again, we have this second round up here near the I-64 corridor that is going to be approaching the Lexington area. So we'll kind of have to watch that here in the next hour or so. But for right now, Lexington's good, but another round's going to be moving in here in the next hour or so. Probably next hour or two, as you guys can hear that rolling thunder in the background. Really kind of sets the stage. I kind of like it. Been waiting for some good storms here. I feel like we've been getting skipped out here in central Kentucky. I don't want any damaging storms or anything like that, but just a good thunderstorm to fall asleep to is something I always enjoy. So we'll have that tonight, definitely, in central and eastern Kentucky. So I've gotten through all the questions, so I hope everybody has a blessed and safe night. And again, we'll do this all over again on Wednesday morning, and I'll have another update for you guys then. Thank you, guys. Stay weather aware and have a great day.